Now the fourth question for Mr. Goley.
Okay. Back to the Roman clergy. In order for there to be what you two would consider a valid Roman cleric, is it not true that they would have to hold the Sedevacantism position, obviously if they're going to elect a pope, and also your interpretation of no salvation outside the church as well?
Yes, in order to be a true pope, you have to be a Catholic.
No, I mean the clergy, one of the clergy members.
Okay, can you repeat the question?
They're electing. He's asking as far as electing.
Yes. Okay, you want, maybe I
No, the church has never, defined exactly what the standards are for valid participants in the election by the Roman clergy. That's why I cited the example earlier in the 7th century when Pope Eugene, was elected the Pope after his first election and nomination had been invalid because Pope St. Martin I was already alive and reigning. Okay, can you tell me exactly what the process was by which Pope Eugene became the Pope when he had already been nominated? How many clergy had to accept him in order for him to be the Pope? I'm sure you can't answer that because it's still not clear to this day. So it's not always neat and tidy exactly how the clergy of Rome elects a pope.
And as far as the people, if they're Catholic, someone who would pertinaciously reject the teaching of the Catholic Church obstinately would cease to be Catholic. So the question of when the person reaches that point is a question.
But none of this has any value, in refuting the undeniable, in attempting to refute the undeniable fact that Benedict XVI, John Paul II, Paul VI, etc., and Vatican II are purveyors of a new religion, a new gospel, directly condemned by the popes and therefore can't be popes.
2-minute rebuttal.
Yeah. Well, again, I guess the point of my question is that obviously obviously we have a situation where the Diamond Bros are asserting that since we have no College of Cardinals, that the Roman clergy would elect the next pope. I don't even know if that can be substantiated, but the point I'm making is that they don't believe anyone is a Catholic unless they, number one, hold the Sedevacantism position and hold all the truths of the Catholic faith that they believe, which would include the Feeneyite position on salvation. So I dare say you probably don't even have, according to their criteria, a valid Roman clergy. Because you would have to find someone in Rome that is validly ordained in the old rite, because they don't believe the new rite is validly ordained. Not only is he validly ordained, he would have to be a Sedevacantist, and then this person would have to make a judgment on who to elect as the Pope. There would have to be at least two of them, because who would they vote for? I guess they could vote for a layman Sedevacantist to, I guess, be consecrated, ordained, consecrated, and all that. I guess that's possible. But do you see the absurdity of this position? There's no way for anyone to know. I mean, like I said before, they can quote all they want. And I go on record. I will accept an invitation to come back. If you want to pick 5 quotes that you believe are heretical by any of these 5 popes, or 4 quotes, 4 or 5 quotes, and we can go by them down piece by piece. Pick your 4 or 5 strongest, and we'll go at it on those quotes, because I don't believe you're correct in your interpretations. But I mean, to have a debate like this and have you guys, which I knew you were going to do anyway.
Okay, time has expired.
Okay, good.
The next question, the 4th question from Brother Michael and Brother Peter Diamond.
My question.
Hold on. What question is this? The 5th?
4th.
This is only the 4th?
This is the 4th question.
Ooh, these are a lot of questions. All right, good.
Assuming he's undergone no conversion in the last few days, is John Kerry, the obstinate pro-abortion politician, a Catholic or is he a heretic? If he's a heretic, please tell us by exactly what authority you say that he is a heretic, since he's never been declared a heretic by your Pope.
Well, I would answer that. I would say, assuming that John Kerry has not gone to a conversion, I would say John Kerry definitely is a heretic, whether it be material or formal, I don't know. I don't know his knowledge of the faith, but let's just say he knows pretty much, I'm sure, that the Catholic position is pro-life and he's pro-choice. I say that because it's very clear. It's very clear what the Catholic position is. Now, it's so clear in that particular case that you don't have any dispute from anyone at all. In other words, if you were to say, hey, okay, John Kerry says he's pro-choice, and you had a whole group of people that would argue that, well, pro-choice can be compatible with Catholicism, you may have to have a question. I'm just saying, you may have to have a question there, and the Pope or a commission approved by the Pope might have to make a decision on that. In your case, I know what you guys are trying to do here. In your case, it's not the case. I have 50 pages from Bobson Genesis website that took you on that explain these pieces, piece by piece, on how it's really not saying what you guys are saying. I have other quotes, such as John Paul II in the early 80s that talked about no salvation outside the church. I mean, Paul VI had a encyclical letter that talked about how all religions are not equal, that we must profess the one true religion. Like I said, I'll challenge you guys up and down. Let's do quote for quote. Every quote you can bring up, I could bring up the other side that these guys have said. Okay, and I don't believe your interpretation is correct. In the case of John Kerry, you don't have anyone on record trying to argue. There is no debate. In your case, there's a huge debate amongst people. Huge, whether or not your interpretation is correct. And the vast 99.99% of Catholics don't agree with you.
All right, the 2-minute rebuttal.
Well, I asked him that question because by answering it, he proved our point that heretics are recognized to be outside the church without any declaration because it's, quote, very clear. Well, we've already proven that it's very clear, and in fact, there's much more evidence against Benedict XVI, John Paul II, etc., that they are heretics than there is against John Kerry. In fact, we've quoted the very authorities Mr. Goley subjects himself to, such as Casper, Benedict XVI, who admit exactly what we're saying they say. Okay, so by admitting that John Kerry is to be considered a heretic, he's proving our point and illustrating the principle of Leo XIII that the practice of the church has always been the same, that those who defect from the church faith publicly are considered outside the church.
And also, the people that Mr. Goley regards as the hierarchy of his church do not agree with him on the issue of John Kerry. They regard John Kerry as a Catholic. Okay? They say that he shouldn't be denied Holy Communion. Benedict XVI, when the U.S. bishops devised their policy a few years ago that each bishop should make their own determination of how they deal with pro-abortion politicians, wrote to Rome, and it was Joseph Ratzinger who responded that the U.S. bishops' policy of letting bishops decide whether they want to give communion or not to pro-abortion politicians is very much in line with the way the Vatican sees this issue. So Mr. Goley doesn't even agree with all the bishops that he regards as the hierarchy of the Catholic Church and Benedict XVI. John Kerry also has said that he holds Catholic teaching against abortion, that he disagrees with abortion, and just proving again that he goes by his actions, too.
He just says he doesn't impose his own belief on other people, affirming that he thinks he believes in the Catholic teaching. That's it for that.